types of sports with Schoode and Tor. Football discussion on the internet.
Looking forward to Aaron Rodgers signing with the Jaguars after the show, and then Andrew Luck coming back from retirement, and Brett Favre starting a new Justice League. It'll be great as soon as we go off the air. Welcome everybody to Both Types of Sports, NFL discussion of the season and the off season. I am Chad Dukes. There is radio's Gigantor. We are with you for an hour at least each week discussing matters of professional football. If you're watching live, hit the like button. If you are not, consider going over to youtube.com/Chad Dukes Show and subscribing for free so you can watch us live when we stream the show. Greetings, young Gigantor from the Garden State. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, Schoode. Got to share a Zoom video with one Brett Favre this past week, which was something.
How'd that go?
Well, it's Brett Favre.
Are you producing that 70s sports guys show now?
I filled in just a little bit of help this week.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty
cool. He is on my Mount Rushmore, Brett Favre is, of all-time reddest face ever on the history of the planet Earth. And I love him for it. I have to. He never takes a day off from having that fuchsia covering his forehead down the chin. But very nice gentleman, I'd say.
It's not usually on someone, though, when you see the red face, I look at it as a sign of weakness. Like, I never for a moment thought Tom Coughlin was going to whip my ass, right? But I just feel like if Brett Favre still could, like, beat you until you were unconscious. And, you know, when you think of Ted or G Beard, some of the pink faces that are in our orbit, you know, they're not exactly, you know, Terry Tough guys. So, yeah, but it's different. Is he got a pink face or a red face?
It's red. It's red at this point, and I'm not trying to knock him. I know he's rolling with the Parkinson's right now, which is just hideous to deal with. If you've ever met somebody or had somebody close to you that's had to deal with Parkinson's, it's just a nightmare. So I'm not piling on, but that red face has been there for a long time. So it always brings me back in to see him in the fold in some way.
Well, he's in my top 5 quarterbacks all time when I put my list together, and I got to watch his whole career, and I don't care about any of his legal issues because he brought me so much joy watching football. Like, I feel like I'd help him, you know, if he wanted to rob a bank or something. Like, I would be in on it. And the story arc every year, I don't know why I'm annoyed by other players. There's other things players do, Tor, that annoys the piss out of me, but I don't know if I'm retired yet bit. Like Aaron Donald kind of did that bit. Right. Aaron Rodgers is doing that bit now. It's never bugged me. It's always just brought me kind of more drama to enjoy in the offseason, and he was the motherfucking tip of the spear for that bit. At one point, I remember the St. Louis Rams like sent a car for him or some shit. They wanted him to come play for the Rams after he had already done his dance with the Vikings and the Jets.
Good Lord.
I'm a Brett Favre guy. I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, I had him number 8 all time on my top 30 all time quarterback rankings, which I thought it would.
Did you do that recently?
About maybe a month and a half ago.
Wow.
But yeah, he came in at 8, and you know what? I could hear any argument about him cracking into that top 5. It's going to be tough though. I mean, there's a lot of great quarterbacks in that top 10.
Multiple MVPs, Super Bowls. The reason I put him in there is he plays a brand of ball that I enjoy. Like the trope and the cliche now at this point of the gunslinger going out there, damn the consequences. They usually say that shit when it's Rex Grossman and he's spraying 4 interceptions all over the field. It's like Favre would throw a pick, but he also could throw through a brick fucking wall. Sterling Sharp's a Hall of Famer. I mean, you just look at the guys around him that put together Hall of Fame careers because of him. And the offense was different. Like every offense didn't have a quarterback that was going out there and throwing 4,000 yards a game.
Yeah, he was the best in that brand of quarterback play of the gunslinger. He was the best of all time at that gunslinger. You know, you're going to pay as a fan. You're going to hurt and you're going to love watching him play. And you got the full maximum feeling of both. That puts you at a legend status for me. No matter how it shakes out, you do something that impactful to the sport of football, you're a top 10 all time.
All right, let's take a look here. You said some very damning evidence about him having a Hall of Fame pink face. I don't know if that's true, but here we find Mr. Favre. That's hot man level right there. So what are we thinking that is? Is that just, I mean, he's a good old boy. He's out riding his ATVs around. I mean, he's outside a lot. Do we think this is natural, or does he just have the rosacea face?
There's some people where they're just kind of. I think he's just permanently sunburned. I think he's permanently red for just being in the sun. Where some old gentlemen they'll crisp up real good that first hot day and burn the shit out of themselves. I mean, just top to bottom burn, and then they just kind of level out for the rest of the summer into a nice even color. Favre just stays at that first burn level. It seems like at a resting rate year round, and I love him for it. God, look at that Favre with that when he's still in that football shape. Where he's kind of still a little bit meatier, like he's lost a little bit of weight. He's kind of slimmed down.
He looks good at all the shit I saw him on Outkick.
But this picture of Favre, he's got the kind of the round Favre face, the beard, the silver hair. Oh, I love it. Like this is maybe my favorite Favre.
All right, let me pull this up because this is my clap back to your assessment. But Tom Coughlin's face was so goddamn red it distracted people in 2008. I remember this game, Tor. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, big time. This is one of the first that really hooked me.
Well, if you recall, like it was very obvious at some point in the second quarter he had put some sort of balm or salve or lotion on the pink face because there was such a humongous discussion of it that people were. I guess this thing is saying that it was cold. It was like cold burn, I guess, -1 degrees, -23 wind chill. So I suppose it was wind burn. I'll never forget. Blue Shorts used to come up to me and say, I love this time of year. It's when I trade my sunburn for wind burn. I think that's a thing people go to. Chris Snee, it was hard to pay attention to what coach was saying because of how red his face was. I remember talking to Eli a few days after. He said he didn't pay attention to a word because of how red his cheeks were.
God, that might have been the first game I was allowed to stay up late and watch, like with my parents. They allowed me to go watch that Packers Giants game, and that image of Coughlin on the sideline, scathing, angry, freezing his face off, is always going to be in my brain.
There's a piece of in SI we're talking about. Jeff Beagles, his chin was frozen. His cheeks were so red, I thought he was going to get frostbite forever. Jared Lorenzen, you remember him, Tor?
Oh, yeah.
The round mound of touchdown, I believe. The hefty lefty. That's my fucking guy. We actually interviewed him on Chad Duke's First in the World when he played for the some indoor league. They were called the River Rats, I think, or the River Pirates, and he weighed 350 pounds, and a video of him went viral on Twitter at the time of him running around and evading the pass rush and throwing touchdowns at that massive size. And everybody, I think he's passed. Isn't he dead?
Yeah. Ultimate Indoor Football. It looks like what was the league. Let me see if I can find that team. Northern Kentucky River Monsters.
There it was. That's when what year was that? That's the year I interviewed him.
2011. He then went to the Owensboro Rage in 2013, and then back at the Northern Kentucky River Monsters in 2014.
Something happened to Eli where he also did a viral bit where he said, "Hey, Big Blue, I'm ready to come back." And he had his jersey on and he was 400 pounds heavier than he was back then. Jared Lorenzen said, you couldn't look at him and take him seriously. If you ended up looking at him, you're going to wonder and think, I wonder how long he's going to last. It was the reddest I'd ever seen anybody, almost purple. Almost like, hey, we need to make these adjustments. And we were like, hey, you need to put on a mask or something.
Oh, what a great look back.
This is the greatest article I've ever seen in my life. Why haven't we read this on the show before? Archie Manning. Whoo, it was pretty rosy. We were all concerned about his face that night.
You know what? We talk a lot about these new young coaches with their joggers becoming a distraction on the sidelines. Sure. I honestly, maybe the old guard has one up them, and we're just farther away from it to think about the distraction of, I don't know, a ketchup red face Tom Coughlin would be on the sideline trying to get in your ear about pass protection.
I'm just so excited that it was, because it was a huge issue for me, Tor. Like, I fucking thought about that face for much of my adult life, and I'm glad it kind of stuck with so many people.
Every cold game or practice that I ever had, I would sit there and think, and I'd go back, I'd think, man, Coughlin had it worse. He had it way worse. That one night in Green Bay, 1,000 times worse. I'm freezing. I'm not getting any burn. You know, I'm just sitting on the sidelines like a popsicle, like a giant deformed popsicle.
In those moments, you think of Coach Coughlin?
I'd say, you know what? At least I got sleeves on. Coughlin was out there. I got a helmet, kind of blocking some of the wind. He was just out there, face raw dog in the nature.
I don't know that I've ever heard. I don't think I've ever heard the term face raw dogging. I don't think it's ever happened. Did you see the video of Xavier Leggett? I don't know how to say his name. Riding his horse around with all of his friends.
Fantastic. Oh, the trail ride? Yeah. I watched it 2 or 3 times.
I was going to pull it, but he's playing all types of copywritten music in the background. I don't want to get struck. We played the video of him talking about eating the German sausage on this fucking. I can never understand anything he's saying. Listening to him talk is my new favorite thing to do in modern media.
He's the best. When I first saw it, I just thought it was like, folks in the country riding some horses doing trail, and I'm like, that guy looks kind of familiar. He looks kind of jacked.
Yeah.
Who is that? Oh, that's Xavier Leggett with his people riding horses and riding ATVs through the trail, getting some good food.
And he's wearing overalls with no shirt underneath, which is just one of my favorite looks of all time. Here, vamp for me. Maybe I can figure out a way to play it without
the overall no shirt look. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take for me to bridge that gap into being able to pull it off. I think overalls would be actually a useful. Overalls or suspenders would be useful for me because of my abnormally high butt crack and that sensitivity. So if I could have something to automatically keep my pants up or just elongate the range of coverage, that could be a future look for Gigantor.
Well, one of the things I didn't know is that I guess guys that are even bigger than us, they've got agita about going from belt to suspenders. Like I've heard from more than one big fella now that thinks that, like, you know how you go from a 3XL to a 4XL, like now I'm a fat fuck. Like we all have our different points of no return. But I've heard from a couple different dudes that they view that suspenders are the point where you give up on humanity. And I said, that's not true. And no disrespect to you, Tor. I said, the point is when you just start wearing sweatpants around and house shoes everywhere. Like that is when you have decided I no longer want to, Seinfeld, like I no longer want to function in society any longer.
Yeah, there's so much celebrity though that are also rocking they're also wearing sweats out in public in 2 games. The Nike Tech
2 games. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like fashionable now.
Like the Nike Tech fleece and the warm-ups, they went from kind of the starter jackets and different, actually fabric pants to warm up in to we're giving you a full tracksuit, a full sweatsuit, and because you're wearing it, everyone else is going to want to wear it, including myself. I couldn't get out of my team sweatsuits, and I liked that lifestyle enough to continue it after football.
Don't make it okay. You know my story about watching Fight Club and then thinking Brett Favre looks good with a shaved head, so I'm going to shave my head, and we all know how that turns out. Jeff Nelms, thank you for the super chat. We do accept super chats on this YouTube channel, unlike other YouTube channels. $4.99. Brett Favre looks great in a pair of jeans. Not only that, but in a fucking copper wrist bracelets and the copper stockings and all of the shit that he's pimped for all these years.
You're an NFL legend when when the copper knee braces get to you, when the Wrangler jeans get to you.
Jerry Rice has done it. Who else has done it? A bunch of legends have.
I feel like Flutie did a lot of it. Well, Flutie was more known just for being Doug Flutie than like how great he was as an NFL football player, which he was still shockingly good at quarterback in the NFL, and
CFL.
Yeah. But his name got attached to quarterback. So he became I think pretty big in the copper tone or copper fit sleeves.
Also, CX, what is it? It's not on the same level as the George Foreman grill. May he rest in peace. I was waxing poetic about the impact. Like George Foreman's grill had more impact on my life than most humans do. No disrespect to him as a boxing legend, but Flutie Flakes were huge. Like that was a really big deal. You know about Flutie Flakes?
This is a complete blind spot.
You're going to feel like a real uninformed young person when you hear. First of all, if you Google Flutie, the first thing that comes up is Flutie Flakes. I have a box upstairs, if you can believe it. And what he did, he had a charity. I forgot what it is. One of his kids was sick. It was a bad one. I'm pulling it up here so you can see it, Gigantor. Don't spoil it for me. I want to get your natural reaction on the show. He had a kid for a charity that he worked for. Yeah, here they are. So he did 3 or 4 different kinds. The red ones were the ones that I had. That's when he was with the Bills. He also did a version when he was with the San Diego Chargers. He had some great games for them as well. But yeah, this was a really big deal, and I'm surprised you never heard of it.
Never heard of the Flutie Flakes. These look awesome.
Yeah.
I love Doug Flutie. I love cereal cross promotions. This is all up in my alley. How did
I
I
love
not know?
cereal cross promotions too.
How did I not know about Flutie Flakes? This is egg on my face. I try to pride myself on knowing a lot about football and all of its auxiliary ports. This is shocking.
No, I didn't know about Flutie Fruity. I didn't know about that. This has got to be a fucking limited time collector's edition Warner's Crunch Time. I would eat the shit out of some Kurt Warner cereal.
I'm interested in all of this. I think
Yeah.
football fans are also. Why is it that rap snacks is like dominating the celebrity junk food market? I would eat Jamar Chase Cheetos. I would.
I know you don't believe me, and there's no reason why you should, because every old fuck says the same shit. But it was better back then. I mean, it just unequivocally was. We had better shit. And I'm with you. Quarterback cereal is something that's a no-brainer. Talk about cross modulation.
God, I want more of that.
I just had something that flashed through my brain that I had to tell you about, and now it's gone. What did you just say? What were you just talking about before the Flutie Flakes?
It would cross promotion of cereals.
Wow.
I enjoyed.
God damn it!
We were on overalls before that.
It's a real trail right here.
Oh, yeah.
None of just that little baby dance.
Hey, ain't no dance.
The trail of the forward ain't them nags, baby. Come on.
Come on.
All that.
So when I watched this, it had subtitles, and I think it made it a lot easier. He's saying nags as in female horses. First of all, I don't know why the horse is so small, but that makes it even better. Like, the horse is not big enough for him.
What you talking about?
This a real trail right here. This ain't none of just that little baby dance.
Hey, ain't no dance.
This the trail of the forward ain't them nags, baby.
Come
All
on.
that.
All right, let me take the music off. But this is him and his people just fucking riding horses all over the place, riding ATVs. I mean, this looks like the greatest day of all time. Why can't we get in with a click tour with a crew that's way into riding horses and ATVs?
Oh, I love it. I mean, this just looks like the best time ever. And I would feel terrible for any horse that had to ride underneath me and my immense girth, but we would have to get a Clydesdale.
But you'd have to peel him right off that fucking Christmas trailer ball the fucking Budweiser.
Oh my God. I would need just a breeder. I would actually maybe need to ride a cow or a bull or something like that. A real calm one.
This one's trotting. Look, this guy knows what he's doing. Look at the tiny horse that he's on. You're not watching this. If you listen to the podcast, it's all over Football X. Type in Xavier Leggett, and his great afternoon will pop up where he's riding his tiny horse around, and all of his friends are riding ATVs and having a great time.
Can I share with you my favorite NFL horse, I guess, imagery real quick?
Sure. Yeah, please.
Okay, I think I might be able to do this here.
That's high praise. Your favorite NFL horse imagery.
This is Ed Oliver, defensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
And his horse. And this gives me a lot of hope for being able to mount a horse again one day, because Ed Oliver is a big gentleman. He is not a wide receiver or a defensive back, but he is 10 toes down on that stallion right there.
He's standing straight up in the air. That's a good way to break your fucking neck. I mean, people paralyze themselves on horses all the time.
What are we doing? You're worth millions and millions to that team, and you're just standing on this horse. I think he's had it for a while.
The shirtless Puerto Rican used to tell me that down in Puerto Rico, that was this is 5 years ago. Like, that was the big flex, is that you didn't buy a nice car, you didn't buy a fucking motorcycle, you bought a horse, and you rode the horse out to the club. You wore the horse out to the bar, and then people they had hitching poles and shit, and people would jump off their horses dressed to the nines, ready to fucking go. I wonder if it does, but where are you going to do that around here where there's a place close enough for you to ride a horse to go? I assume you have to have farmland and you have to go into town. By the way, your average horse weighs 1,000 pounds, Tor, at least. Like, I think you probably are going to be okay.
I would feel bad as soon as I heard, because I used to ride horses plenty as a younger lad when I felt like
when you're 3.
Yeah, and an appropriate size limit. I was a 99 percentile kid, so I think I was able to ride him until like age 9.
Yeah, you're fucked, by the way. As a general rule, a horse should not carry more than 20% of its body weight, including rider and tack, to avoid causing long-term health issues. So 20%, if the horse weighs 1,000 pounds, 20% is 200 pounds.
Yeah. Okay,
So
so I probably could have ridden it until sophomore year of high school.
Now your left leg could fucking. That's the thing, is that you're gonna have to find a 3,000-pound horse. I mean, you'd have to find the biggest horse on the market. How much does Xavier like? I mean, he's a wide receiver, but he's probably 200 pounds, right? That didn't look like an 800-pound horse to me.
I wouldn't say that was an 800-pound horse. I mean, they're big. They're just so. I think he's pushing the limits. I think he floats around 200 to 220. But he got a lot of gear on that horse too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just went. Oh, he's 221. Yeah, so he needs to he needs to not ride that horse. So why is somebody fucking helping him out?
That's his horse, I guess. I guess that's just one he rides.
I know, but you can still cripple your horse.
I don't
By
know
the
what
way,
he's doing.
how much do you think Xavier Worthy weighs?
Xavier Worthy has 162 pounds.
172 is what he's listed at, and I'll eat my own shit if that's how much he actually weighs. Allegedly. Did you see Xavier Worthy's garage?
I missed his garage.
I'm sure it's butt. Let me tell you something. Unless this is fake news, it's butt annoying. I mean, it's nothing like it's. Look, you can spend your money any way you like. You know me, Tor. I don't hate on people. If you fucking are able to acquire the funds and your shit makes you happier than what it would me, I'm fine with that. But it's when your entire setup is just pictures of you.
Oh, I'm seeing it now. Yeah.
Here you go. This is the whole deal. And I just gonna mute it so we don't get claimed. Look at this. I mean, what if you have a messy breakup with the Chiefs? If you're not watching the video with us on the podcast, he's walking around his garage and it's just floor to ceiling, 12-foot ceiling pictures of him throughout his football career.
Yeah, like Kadarius Toney got 89 tattooed on him like immediately when he went to the Giants. He was off the team after like a year and a half. What does that feel like? I get like going to the NFL and getting the shield tattooed on you. I made it. I made it to the league. I would even understand like a smaller tattoo of the first team that drafted you. I get that. You got drafted into the NFL. You made the team. It feels kind of Olympic rings-ish. This is like just I got a bunch of money and I want to trick out my garage. But what are the other interests? Do you have any other interests, Mr. Worthy? Or is it just Xavier Worthy?
He's not going to turn any wrenches in that garage. I mean, you can't do any work in there. Look at the floor. Also, he signed a rookie deal, right? Am I missing something where you just want to drop 6 figures on your fucking garage?
Yeah, rookie deal. He got the full acrylic floor, all the nice swirls on the bottom. Yeah. Wouldn't be my garage. My garage.
I'm gonna defend
and an old TV.
I'm gonna defend Kadarius Toney. I actually like the idea of getting your number better because that's your fucking number. The NFL is a shield and a construct that you had nothing to do with. I understand what you're saying, the achievement of getting there. Like I have a tattoo on my arm because I got my band played the 930 Club and I grew up going to 930 Club shows, and a lot of people I think would probably think that's stupid. But for me, as a kid that grew up in this area, it means a lot. And so for a kid that always wanted to play in the NFL, has been playing football since I didn't jump on him the way that everybody else did just because it didn't work out with the Giants, because at the end of the day, that's still his number. And that's still his body, and it's still probably $2,000, $3,000 worth of work. Dropping 6 figures on pictures of yourself, I'm assuming, in your garage makes less sense.
Yeah, it was tough. I get it. It was tough, but he started at 89 and then went to 19. So if he had retained 89, I think I might be on board.
Didn't he have the 19 like tattooed somewhere else on him too? It was like on his wrist or something.
I'm sure. I like Kadarius. I watched the video of Kadarius's life, so I'm a fan now. The secret base got me.
Well, he's definitely not lived up to expectations, specifically from a fantasy perspective, when he went from New York to Missouri. No. And I was like, oh shit. None of these wide receivers do. Tor Hollywood Brown. Go down the list of guys they bring in. DeAndre Hopkins, you're like, oh man, he's with Mahomes now. I'm going to pick up this receiver. He's going to have 9 touchdowns. None of them ever pay off.
I love hearing about people talk about the Chiefs' weapons, and the first guy they bring up is Hollywood Brown. I've watched Hollywood Brown's career. I've watched it. He gets hurt. I think he's exciting. I think he's a fine to decent wide receiver, but he never plays. He doesn't. And maybe he's got brittle bones. I know there's a collarbone issue and all that. And I think he tore his ACL or broke his leg, but good God. I'm tired of hearing about what they have. If what you have is half a can of soup and you busted it before you walked in the house. You don't really have soup. You have remnants of soup.
Yeah. Speaking of soup, he was making some suck soup. There's a video of him on X you should find too, where he misses 3 fucking touchdowns in one game. Lamar Jackson dots the fucking I 3 separate times to Hollywood Brown in one game. He drops all 3 touchdowns. I think they lost to the Bills. I can't remember the exact game, but you're right. If Marquise Brown's nickname was Big Tug and his first name was James, I don't think we'd be hearing this much about him. Hey, it's James Big Tug Brown for your fucking kids. Maybe I'm wrong. By the way, Big Tug is a pretty good nickname.
I like Big Tug,
me too.
But it's because it's Hollywood. If his name was Marquise Charleston Brown,
yeah,
I think everyone's saying Charleston for 6. No, Charleston's a fine city. No one's gonna. No.
Charleston.
It's not bad chew either.
Oh, we're killing it on the Charleston shtick. Heston's my favorite. King of the Charlestons. Hey, what's the locker room going to look like with Jameis, Russ, and Deion Sanders fucking in the same locker room? Because we're going to be there with Shador.
I am excited. I'm growing a lot of excitement for that New York team. At least, I mean, Russell Wilson is about as exciting as a bag of paint chips.
Yeah.
But the idea. Like, I get excited about the idea of Jameis and Russell Wilson and rookie quarterback to be named later, all sharing a quarterback room. I would watch their quarterback meetings as if they were a movie. Just turn it, just flip it on and just watch. I want to see them all interact.
Well, I wanted to talk with you about your tagline there on your name tag here on YouTube, where it says the NFL isn't even hiding anymore. There's a bunch of rule changes. People are up in arms about the tush push. I think I've changed my vibe on that. But we can go through it. Here's what I wanted to bring up first, though, and I'm surprised. I don't get a lot of texts from you, but I thought I'd get a text for this. This trade rumor has been circulating all fucking week, and it involves our 2 dog shit teams, and you can't often say that, except for Julio Jones was good when he played for your team, not so much when he played for my team. There's kind of a long list. Arthur Smith was good when he coached for my team, not so much for your team. There's a little bit of synergy there, but the headline is Falcons, Titans, Browns blockbuster trade scenario would finally offload Kirk Cousins. And of course, we know Raheem Morris has spoken now. Tor, what do you feel about the fact? What's that?
Did he finally speak? I know he was late to all the coaches' meetings, so he was so late he couldn't make the picture.
He wasn't he was the only coach not in the picture for the whole calendar year. I couldn't believe that.
31 coaches out of 32 in the photo. My coach, who has struggled with time management in games, seems to have the same issue outside of the games. Maybe he missed his flight. Maybe the flight got delayed. I don't know the details. I know I don't like the look. I know I don't like having the one representative from my team at these meetings, the only one not in the photo.
Well, here's what I always tell Ant-Man whenever I catch. It's like, why would you want to give somebody the excuse? Like, your reputation is what it is. The standard is the standard. If you're the guy that people think doesn't know when to call a timeout, doesn't know how to run a 2-minute offense effectively, doesn't know how to spatially conduct himself when it's nut cutting time at the end of the game, don't show up late. Just don't, because people are good, even if one has nothing to do with the other in the grand scheme of things, which are probably, pragmatically, we can all agree that's probably the case. You don't want the headlines. You don't want the tweets. You have complete and total control over whether or not you arrive on time. People don't like to hear that, Tor, because there's traffic and there's delays, but technically at the end of the day, you can fly in a day early. You can leave 2 hours early for an event. Anytime I was late for work, I was like, motherfucker, you knew you could have left at 11. You know where you work. You could have been there on time. I fucking cursed myself when that happened.
Yeah, it's like it's the smallest thing. And knowing that every year you got Big Cat writing his coach's picture blog that gets hundreds of thousands of hits. every year on a dial that same day when it happens. And this year, my coach isn't even there. It's just a point of emphasis that doesn't even need to be in the equation.
I think there's also a school of thought that, I mean, I like Raheem Morris as a coordinator. I probably wouldn't want him as a coach of my team. It really wasn't his fault necessarily, everything that unfolded last year, because Cousins was more hurt and effective than we thought, and they drafted a quarterback, and who knows how much dissent was. You waste that pick. We talked about this a million times on a weapon you could have brought in.
Yeah.
But I think there's an argument with him, like there was with Sirianni before the Super Bowl, where you look at that team and you're like, you get that coaching call right, if you bring in Sean McVay, you right, like you bring in somebody that can take this talent and galvanize them, this is a deep playoff run caliber team, and Raheem Morris is kind of the opposite end of that spectrum right now. That's why I'm not showing up for late for everything. Remember I told you about when I filmed that goddamn movie that nobody will ever see? The only goal that I had was I don't want to fuck my shit up so the real people are sitting around and worrying about me. And I'm having to read. I will know my lines. I will know where I'm supposed to stand, and I'm going to shut the fuck up when it's not my time to be up there. I can control all of that. And if I'm Raheem Morris or if anybody else that's not McVay or Kyle Shanahan or fucking the tip of the spear, I'm showing up on time to everything no matter what.
I've been engaged in a now 3-hour argument about golf and golf etiquette and about mine especially. And I've just been going to blows. And main central point is when I'm out there, I'm bad. I am not good at the sport, but I'll be damned if I'm the one that's slowing everyone down.
Yep, exactly.
I'm not going to be in the woods searching for my ball, holding people up. If my poor play, my inability to hit a golf ball shouldn't affect anybody else's good time, and I try my hardest to not let that happen. So there's little ways that you can operate in your life to make yourself look like a decent person, to appear as such, even if you are struggling immensely. You got ass sweat going down to your ankles. You're only on hole 5. Your day's already ruined. You're chafing by hole 6. It shouldn't affect other people.
Speaking of ass sweat, I want to get back to that deal because it's a 3-way trade in the draft where I assume Cam Ward is ending up with the Cleveland Browns. Kirk Cousins is being traded to the Tennessee Titans from the Atlanta Falcons. But you mentioned ass sweat. Our guy, I know we love him, Mike Tomlin. This was a story all week long where fans were concerned for Mike Tomlin because of how sweaty he was at his morning press conference and the fact that he was
he's been in this thing a long time. I've been in this thing a long time, but it's no substitute for, intimacy and spending time together and getting to know.
He's going through it, Tor. And I know, look, I don't want to say as a fellow fat guy, because I hate it when people say that to me, but as a big man, I have been the only one in the room sweating so many fucking times that I feel for Mike Tomlin, but he looks to be in much better shape than all of us. Oh, my heart went out to him in this interview. Look at him wiping his fucking head off.
I love Mike Tomlin so much more after this video. It's the first time I've seen him actually look like like human. Like, because Mike Tomlin on the sidelines, stoic, strong, poised, composed. This is first date tour. This is I actually before pre-shower on the first date tour before the second sweat kicks in. It is an incredible amount of gleam on that face and that head. The shine carries from the low cheek to the tip top of the forehead. What an incredible angle. And then the Joker that was asleep next to him. Like, this is my favorite press conference of maybe all time so far.
Yeah, but Tor, where is every head coach has got at least 2, if not 3 people with him at all time? Nobody can hand this man a towel. Nobody can go get this man a fucking wad of paper towels.
Where's the get back coach? I know Collinsworth loves pointing him out. The get back coach should have some Kleenex on him to help the big man.
I mean, Jesus Christ, especially if he's, who knows, is he, I think maybe the reason to be concerned if they're not used to him being this goddamn sweaty, then that's a reason to be concerned. But come on, let's help the man out. And he's wearing a lavender shirt. You're going to sweat through a lavender shirt, coach.
Here's my problem with the media. You had a dozen reporters all around Mike Tomlin, all just putting their mics down, getting the same story, getting the same answers, all running on their own stations. If you're the one guy in the scrum that has the awareness to say, coach is looking a little sweaty.
Yeah.
Maybe I got a couple napkins in my pocket. Maybe I hand them to him. Maybe I make it a connection. Maybe that parlays into a one-on-one interview with Tomlin coming on the show. Where's the awareness? Good God, go and be a gopher and get the man a tissue, and maybe you have a shot. You can leave the recorder there. Maybe you have a shot at making a friend, making an actual connection. Good Lord.
I was going to say,
if
it's somebody on the team, you might be offensive coordinator by the third week if you bring him a fucking towel.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I'm dying up here. It's hot.
Yeah, hey, I'm a human being.
I remember that. I would remember that for life. If somebody saw me heaving and sweating, answering questions, and they bailed me out for 5 seconds with a napkin just to give me a quick wipe.
At Dick Smokehand's wedding, he was sweating through his fucking clothes. It was 1,000,000 degrees in there, and nobody brought him shit. And I remember finally he had to say, can someone bring me a paper towel? I'm dying up here. This is he's giving his fucking vows. And I was a groomsman, so I'm just standing there in my fucking tux, like not knowing what to do. But it clicked for me. I'm like, I should have just broken and broke out and made a beeline to the back and grabbed the towel for him off of the catering cart or something.
Was that a nice wedding?
It was a nice wedding. I give it probably 6 more months, but it was certainly a nice affair. Matt Lawson, $5. Thank you so much. We do accept super chats. Mike Tomlin's sweating is reminding me of when I would try to get us a table at the Cheese Grill at Whole Foods. Yeah, quick story. We'd play Ultimate Tour, and we'd go to the Whole Foods in Fair Lakes, which used to have like 3 or 4 kick-ass bars in it, and drink craft beer for $4 a pint. It was amazing. Just leave that place shithouse fucking drunk. And there'd be these yuppies that were sitting there enjoying like plates of brie and French cheeses. And Lawson was just sweaty and pink and disgusting. And I would send him over and he would just stand uncomfortably close to the table and sweat on the ladies until they left. And then we could grab their table and bring it over to ours so we'd all have a place to sit.
I mean, I don't think I'm an overly sweaty individual, but it's starting to catch up to me. Like I was pretty good with the sweat for a long time. This summer, I think we're looking at a heavy sweat one. This one.
Oh, no.
If I'm being real with the people, I mean, it's going to be some rough outings. I think we might be seeing a second and third change of clothes being brought into offices.
But wait a minute. We went from a watermelon summer to pineapple summer, and now we're going to heavy sweat summer. This is a downward curve.
Well, we got heavy sweat summer, and then we're also going back to marinara summer this summer. So I gotta go. Yeah. So I haven't disclosed the full marinara summer schedule.
No, I haven't heard this.
I could do that on a later show. I think we could do that and give the full breakdown.
I gotta say, on paper, Tor, the seasonality of a marinara summer that don't vibe. Like I think a marinara winter is better as you're packing on the cold weather months.
We got a marinara summer, a paella summer, and then I don't even know, would that be a Guinness summer? So it's going to be a lot of sweat. It's going to be a big one.
That's some time in the water closet you described too, there, young man. I don't want to fucking bury the goddamn conclusion. All right, so here we go. It's been fairly quiet around the Atlanta Falcons offseason, at least in terms of notable transactions. That is said until the Falcons continue to be linked in various trade scenarios due to their unusual quarterback situation involving Kirk Cousins, last year's number 8 overall pick, Michael Penix Jr. The Falcons are reportedly hoping to find a trade partner to convince Cousins to waive his no-trade clause, which he hasn't done yet. He said he won't do until after the draft, as far as I know. One scenario proposed by ESPN's Bill Barnwell involves 3 teams, Falcons, Titans, Cleveland, Cousins going to Tennessee while Atlanta getting some much-needed draft capital. Barnwell proposed the Titans would move off number 1, sending it to the Browns. Cleveland would then presumably select Miami quarterback Cam Ward with that top pick. The Titans now picking a 2 could target someone like Penn State's Abdul Carter or another defensive standout. In addition to the number 2 pick, Tennessee would also receive a 2026 second rounder from Cleveland. Meanwhile, the Browns would get a 2026 sixth round pick from Tennessee. Atlanta's involvement centers around offloading Cousins. In this scenario, they'd be sending him to the Titans, who would opt against drafting Ward. The Falcons would also send cash considerations to the deal, making it more palatable for Tennessee. In return, Atlanta would receive only a 7th round pick from the Titans. This is fantasy booking, but go ahead and Google it. If you put in Titans, Browns, Falcons, there's 100 of these where people think this is something that could move. Do you like this scenario, young Gigantor?
This scenario, it makes sense. It would hypothetically work. It's not even that far-fetched to me. You have a hoping to soon be proven great commodity in Michael Penix Jr. You had an experiment that didn't work out to be fully fulfilled in Kirk Cousins. How do we get this? How do we maximize our ability while also, trying to save money and not have to pay Kirk Cousins a bunch of money? So it does solve the issues. My problem comes with it's the company I'm keeping right now as a Falcons fan or as the Falcons front office personnel. They're never dealing with the Chiefs. They're never dealing with Philly. They're never dealing with Buffalo. They're not dealing with contenders. I haven't heard Falcons say, hey, Detroit Lions, why don't we do a pick swap and we can figure something out? No, they're dealing with teams that are left to be dealing a month before the draft starts.
How dare you?
The shit basement teams. And we're one of them. And it doesn't feel good. It's like, I remember being angry. I think we both were about how the Kansas City and Buffalo worked alongside each other. They did a trade last year. So
yeah,
Kansas City could draft Xavier Worthy. I found it to be a mistake. I think Schoode found it to be a mistake. Why would you help your opposition when you're both so legitimate Super Bowl contenders?
Well, hold on, just stop right there. The Chiefs, because they don't give a fuck, they're not scared of the Buffalo Bills. All of my criticism was Buffalo has one limbo pole they've got to get under before they can win the game, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't do anything that's going to make them better and give them the fastest wide receiver in the draft. You just don't do that.
Right, and we are all crabs in the bottom of the barrel right now, and I honestly, I just got to get up there. I got to clip whoever I can to get out. And if a 3-team trade where all I'm getting in return is Kirk Cousins and I'm sending cash considerations, okay, Barnwell, we're broke. We're not giving out a bunch of cash, but I understand it would help with Kirk's contract. It doesn't feel as satisfying as working with somebody, a different team in an upper echelon. It feels like we're trying to make do in the basement. We're trying to build a pillow fort here.
I think I test him. I think I keep him, I pay him, and I think I test his professionalism because you're going to need him. Penix is going to get hurt. Penix is going to falter. Yeah, I especially a year removed from that injury tour. We talk about that a lot with Aaron Rodgers. Is like these guys are older. They need longer to recover, but we know that all these athletes get better the further they get from those gruesome leg injuries. And I would rather do that than whatever this is that they're talking about.
He's an asset. He is a genuine asset to the team. He'd be the best backup quarterback in football. And even if Michael Penix not even gets hurt, goes through a rough skid, he's still young in his career. If he has a Bryce Young situation where the first 4 games are just hideous and he is obviously getting overwhelmed, I don't think it's going to happen, but stuff like this has happened, so we can't rule it out. I'd rather turn around and see Kirk Cousins looking to get in the game, looking to maybe get even another contract after this year, than Felipe Franks or Taylor Heineke or whoever's name run-of-the-mill backup quarterback that's just not going to be serviceable. Kirk Cousins can win games. I prefer he got in during October and not the last half of the season, but it would just be a good asset to have, and having a quality backup quarterback. Like I'd be calling – if I didn't have one, I'd be calling for Gardner Minshew right now. Every team that doesn't have somebody that's better than Gardner Minshew, a backup quarterback, you need him. Somebody that's going to go deep in a run, Kansas City should be calling about him. Get rid of Wentz, put Gardner Minshew on the back as a backup of the Chiefs. They stay alive.
You know, Gardner Minshew is the backup for the Chiefs, right?
Is he?
Yeah, they signed him.
Oh, good. Well, you know what?
But not knowing that, at least your logic is sound. Yeah, they upgraded the backup position, doing exactly what you said, and I think you're right, and I think that's why. Go back to here's why I like your point though about the backup quarterbacking situation. You learn about the young quarterback. You learn the quality of his character. We forget Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, didn't just go in and hold the fort until Bryce Young could get his wits back around him. He fired it the fuck up. I think he threw 4 touchdowns in that first game.
That first game, he came back. It looked like Andy Dalton from 2015.
Yeah, and Twitter was just shitting all over Bryce Young. Look at what this is. I'm sure it's the Panthers' fault. It's Bryce Young. Bryce Young suffered all of that and then went back in and played way better and really made you believe that he could do this. And Tor, that's mental. That's in between the ears. I mean, you know, all these guys are incredible athletes. Like with your pitcher, once you fucking something gets out of whack inside of your brain, that's it. You're throwing fucking worm burners. You're Rick Ankiel or Kerry Wood or any of these other guys that lose it in the middle of a season. I love that. And then you fucking know. You're going to know about Anthony Richardson. I already think I do, but you're going to know about him by the end of the season because of who that backup is.
The more it progresses, though, and the more that you hear about like the open competition between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, they're both going to get 50% of the snaps with the ones, is the expectation. It's crazy for Anthony Richardson to be doing that, but it's crazy for Daniel Jones to be doing that. But let's figure it out.
Daniel Jones is going to beat out Anthony Richardson in a competition. The only way that Anthony Richardson could beat out Daniel Jones is if the Colts look at him and say, we took him way too high in the first round to not play him. We're going to play him. That's the only way he wins that competition. I
think Irsay makes it happen, but realistically, it would be better for Richardson if he did get beat out by Daniel Jones, at least with the track record we've seen recently from quarterbacks that it's not even and Anthony Richardson isn't even a dickhead. Bryce Young wasn't a dickhead that like was too arrogant and needed to get like humbled by getting benched. They're actually pretty good like appearing people. The athletes that are getting drafted so high now. You're not seeing it, but I think it's a mental block of God, it's all on me. And if I could just see what it's like on the other side for 4 games, come back in, get some perspective of how this whole machine works. I think Bryce Young saw that and he's like, wow, the sun rose again tomorrow. And it wasn't all contingent on me throwing 4 perfect touchdowns. I can go in there and just kind of be a quarterback and get better game by game. And he did.
All right. Here's the problem that I have though, is that he may not be an idiot. Like he may not be a bad kid, but one of the things that we do know about Anthony Richardson is he didn't play a lot of football. Like he didn't have as many reps. And when he said things that didn't make a lot of sense, well, he's never been exposed to what, you know, the parameters of a pro locker. He's played less football than anybody other starting quarterback probably to get that position ever has. And so he doesn't know to say the right things, and preparation is in question. And that's on the Colts. You know, that's not on him. When you give Brock Lesnar a tryout or Gable Stevenson a tryout, it's like, okay, we're bringing this sick athlete and he's a wrestler, but what do you expect? It doesn't matter. He's not going to be able to cut it. It's why I don't think you're ever going to see these male practice players go practice with these WNBA teams. I don't think they want the smoke. And that's Daniel Jones played a bunch of college football, and he's played a bunch of professional football, and he's played in the postseason, and he's been in a tumultuous fucking environment. He's got legs and he's got an arm. Fuck it, man. He's going to go in there and win that competition going away, regardless, I think, of what Anthony Richardson does. Lots of rule change shit. I want to get to some of this before we have to wrap up. Here's one of them that I saw. NFL owners have now approved proposals to expand the league's replay assist system. Here's the problem that I have with this tour. They still fuck up calls all the time, even with replay assist. And what this also means is tangentially more time on the fucking television for the refs, more discussion of the calls. And you know how I feel about this. I think the NFL has done some research where they believe that us bitching about the refs and questioning these calls and having the Saints fans protest, they think that's what's best for business, and it helps with their, you know, market shares. I don't want to expand the league's replay assist system. I either want all in or all out. It's all human, or it's all microchips and lasers and AI, and we get the fucking human component out of the officiating part of this game. I think this middle ground is not what's best for the sport.
They're in a weird puberty period. The 5 new penalties that can now be overturned by the booth. So more calls that we could call upon to get the refs on screen, hitting a defenseless player, face mask, horse collar tackle, tripping and roughing / running into the kicker. It is noted that the replay assist will not call penalties that weren't flagged on the field in the first place. I just don't think we need to keep on going to the sidelines. I have appreciated the way they handled targeting, though, football in college and in the NFL, where we're going to take a look at this. I saw way more targeting calls overturned after being reviewed and said that was not targeting, and I was shocked at how many I saw get overturned. I did appreciate that. Every time it goes to review, though, you think it's automatically going to get accepted. You just don't think Like the NFL is not built up a strong enough brand in officiating to think that they're going in there and they're going to own up and say, you know what? No, we're picking it up. That was a BS call. We are picking it up. Continue play as usual. And if they can make it quick, like the baseball strike zone challenge system, hey, tap the head, challenge, baller strike, good. Back to the game. If it could be that quick and seamless, okay, fine. More correct calls on the field, less BS. It should, in theory, work. But it's just going to be more Gene Steratore. It's going to be more Dean Blandino.
Yeah.
It's going to be more, what are we looking at here? I don't care. I don't care. Tell me what the call is. Let's get to the next play, please. You're sucking my life force out.
You know what this feels like to me, though? It feels like Taylor Swift. It feels like they know that the guys like us that are too involved, we're going to bitch and moan and complain, and none of us are going to go anywhere. And they've had that luxury to this point. Hey, we're going to put Black Lives Matter in the fucking end zone. Hey, we're going to do this with, Trump's going to be at the game. Everyone threatens to not watch, and then they watch. With the refs, though, up until this point, I think they've been able to push and push and push, and people are like, it's still the NFL. On Christmas Day, they're expanding the Christmas Day slate, right? We're getting 3 games now. I think is it 2 or 3 different streaming services? How about we spend some time letting NFL fans know how many fucking subscriptions are we going to have to watch the games this season, because it's up to 5 or 6 or 7 at this point. I'd rather them focus their time on that. But getting back to my original point, I just feel like this is different. The only thing that can kill the NFL, it's like Rome falling. It's going to happen from within before it happens from without. You continue to tinker with this ref shit. You continue to tinker with these rules and with the essence of football, and eventually that worm turns. And that's the only thing that's going to make us go away, is if we tune it in and it no longer looks like the sport that we were all here for because you changed it too much.
It feels like the dad replacing the pipe underneath the sink when it didn't need replacement. It was still going. I'm not seeing any cracks in the PVC. I'm not holding the flashlight for you, man. The sink worked. The garbage disposal worked. You put half a banana down there, and it jammed up the whole thing. There was a user personal error. It was not a machine error. The NFL has been operating just fine. They are making tons of money, and we keep on tinkering with the actual sport instead of the user experience, which is getting worse. It's getting worse.
Well, we get back to the half a banana. Do we have any? I'm starving, by the way. Jesus fucking Christ. There's nothing around here.
Fresh out.
Worst kitchen in all the radio. Here's something else. Schefter reporting. NFL's kickoff proposal is separated into 2 votes today. One that passed, one that was tabled. The football now moves to the 35 after touchback. That passed. No vote this time on the onside kick modification. It will pick back up in the May meeting. I think it's something to do with you have to let your intentions be known at any point during the game. You can kick an onside kick, yada, yada, yada. I guess what this is for, Tor, is they want to incentivize returns, which is crazy because we've got this insane kickoff rule that makes no sense because they're worried about quote-unquote player safety, but also they're worried about the fact that kickers just kick the ball out of the back of the end zone. So now if you do that, you give up a substantial chunk of field position from the jump. Why don't they just go back to the original kickoff? I mean, they keep tweaking this weird ass. Maybe people are safer. They said concussions were down. Seemed like to me that maybe we're reporting concussions differently. There was a lot of guys that went back in when you think in the past couple of years, maybe they wouldn't have been allowed to be going for that blue tank cleared by concussion specialists. This is just the gimmickry of this play. You continue to try to act like you care about player safety, but also acknowledge this is one of the most exciting plays in all of football. They're doing too much here.
This is what I'm angriest with, and this is the slug line that I have. The NFL knows what it's doing, or they're not hiding it anymore, rather. They want a shorter field for the offense.
Right,
they want offenses to start at the 35. They want more scoring. They don't want to have offenses start arduous, passionate, 80-yard drives that incorporate running the ball on 2 downs, throwing it on the 3rd. They don't want that. They want bombs over Baghdad from the 35, where a quarterback could theoretically throw it to the end zone from their starting position point. And that's what they want. They want less time just grinding it out. And if you're going to grind it out, start at the 35. It's shorter, and we can get another offense on the field when you score. Starting on the 35, you're a pass interference and a first down away from a field goal. You're a pass interference and two first downs away from being in legitimate striking distance on just about any play to the end zone. Why are we 15 yards up from the 20-yard line just for receiving the ball because the kicker put it in the end zone? Back the freaking kicker up.
Right.
Put him back. Keep the return, because some analytics dork is going to get a hold on this and say, "Wow, they're still not returning the ball. They're still going into the end zone." I don't get it.
Well, to your point about the PI also, I mean, anyone with a somewhat proficient offense, when they get to the 35 with a 1st and 10, Tor, what do? I mean, they take a poke at it. Like, they go long. They put one down.
Take it
field.
deep. Yeah.
And why not? You have the chances are you got a, 25% chance it gets caught, 25% chance there's pass interference. Maybe it's just 15 yards, but then you're in business. You're at midfield. So I completely agree with that. The other rule that really is pissing me off, and you and I have had many discussions about this, is now in overtime, both teams have to have the ball. And I just think that's so fucking communist. I think it's so anti-competition. If you're in first of all, you have 4 fucking quarters to beat this team. If you get into overtime and your opponent goes straight down the field and sticks the ball in the end zone, bye-bye. Your afternoon is over and you deserve to lose. No. It's we got to overtime, so we get to have the ball too. Hand out participation trophies, bitch. This is fucking ridiculous. I understand kick a field goal. You just have to get to the 40. You got a Sebastian Janikowski. You're going to get fucked. But if you let them march right down the field in overtime and put the ball in the end zone, you deserve to lose. You do not deserve to get the ball back.
It's just backwards. And I called it socialist not but an hour ago.
That's what it is.
It is. I'm sorry, Schoode. Would you say that the Chiefs have maybe one of the best defensive coordinators in Steve Spagnuolo over the past couple years?
I would say the best, considering how lackadaisical their offenses look for their past couple Super Bowl runs. Yes.
Well, his big MO is lighting up a quarterback on early downs when they're going to be passing late in the game, getting sacks, stalling out drives. Why no other team wants to replicate this? Why no other team figures out we can play defense late in the game? We don't have to go into prevent, cover 3, deep shell, cover the outsides for a 15 and out. We're going to light your ass up because your quarterback isn't that good. And he's not going to be able to beat our quarterback if you do get in the end zone or if we do get into overtime. And if we do get into overtime, we're going to come after you again. So this isn't going to be the end of it. You better walk us off right now when we're blitzing you and have 6 dudes running down your face. And you know what? They get sacks and they win games because they play defense when it matters at the end of the game. I don't know why they're the only team that I see is capable of doing this. Maybe the Eagles did it some last year also. But it's such reverse think, and the NFL adjusting rules for these pussy defensive coordinators, for these cowards that don't like to play defense, is jarring.
Well, you got to have a Chris Jones too, or
that helps.
TJ Watt or Aaron Donald or somebody like that. The thumbnail said we were going to give our top 3 biggest off-season moves. I think we talked about red faces for 20 minutes. Give me your top 3 real quick, Tor, of your biggest moves this off-season for the NFL.
Real quick, 3-1, Devontae Adams to Los Angeles Rams. Tampa Bay retaining Chris Godwin. Bears get Ben Johnson.
Wow. Yeah, Bears get Ben Johnson could be anyone's number 1, I think. Mine were Vrabel to the Pats, Carroll to the Raiders. And I know that sounds crazy, but Geno also went. He wouldn't go there if it wasn't Carroll, and they're going to be immediately competitive. They have an identity. And I know this is going to sound like home cooking. The Titans not pursuing a quarterback. That's the entire draft has been established now. The entire draft. There is no questions. It is the only question is, where does Shador go? Where does Dart go? Where do the rest of these guys go? Because knowing that Cam Ward is that pick, if they would have brought in a competent veteran, Ward would have still been in play. The trade would have still been in play, and those other top 2 guys are still in play. I really do think that their decision to do this, there's not going to be any Kirk Cousins. And I wrote this down, Tor. The Patriots have spent $295.9 million on 10 players this offseason. Do they do that if Mike Vrabel doesn't come in to coach year 2 of Drake May?
Hell no.
I don't think so.
No, they're floating in purgatory again.
Yeah. And I think they look at they look at Miami and they see that's House of Trades. I mean, we're talking about fucking, we have an opportunity here to go in and knife some of these teams, the Jets that don't have an identity right now, that don't really know what they're doing. It's like, let's move up there And this is still a Buffalo Bills team that isn't as talented as any Buffalo Bills team that we faced previously. Who knows what the Patriots could do this year with some competent coaching?
New England could sweep Miami. They could sweep the Jets. They could steal one from Buffalo. They definitely are not going to be. I don't think they're going to be doormats in this division this year, which would be good for football.
What's the name of the big fat guy with the hoses attached to him? I want Mike Vrabel to fucking come in like that dude in Arrakis sleeping in a big pool of mud.
Oh!
They cut his hoses off and the fucking
yeah.
Batista starts crying. That's the worst. Oh, he's such a scumbag too. I'm like, why do I care that this guy dies? He's a terrible person. By the way, what a cuck is Christopher Walken in that movie? Jesus Christ.
What was he? He was a Baron.
Harkin.
Oh, Baron Harkonnen. Yes.
Yeah, and the Harkonnens. Excuse me, I got that wrong.
I should rewatch that. Just seeing how it got absolutely. I mean.
What, I'm sure that wasn't the best picture.
I'm sure it wasn't the best picture.
Sure Dune 2 wasn't the best picture that came out last year.
And you know what? You keep on. Go ahead, Hollywood. Keep on messing with Hans Zimmer and his scores and saying that Dune 2's score is disqualified because it was used in Dune 1.
Fuck you.
The fucking impact doesn't hit until the second movie when you hear that score reemerge as they're blowing up fucking rocket ships.
And guess what? The score for Indiana Jones was the same, and Lord of the Rings and Jurassic Park uses the same songs. These are the best scores we've ever had.
The most irritable, maybe Oscars and Academy disrespect that I've seen towards a fantastic movie. I mean, Dune 2 got shafted.
How about this point? We didn't even make. I'm sure Anora is a good movie, and I'm sure I'll go into the dirt and never seeing it. Which won Best Picture? How many people waited in line to see Anora? How about a little respect on the name for the fucking who's packing them in anymore at the movie theater, Tor?
When I heard Anora won, I'm sitting here like, oh, well, maybe it was just like an indie movie. I never would have seen it. I saw that when I saw what movie it was. I'm like, I saw that damn trailer 3 times when I was going to see movies. This is what won?
It looks horrible.
The horrible trailer from the movies? I'm like, this just had to be a blind spot. This had to be some super artsy piece that I just missed that just didn't have a mega release. It was everywhere.
They need more sex. They needed more sex workers on Arrakis, and they would have won Best Picture drinking that blue fucking worm cum. That was my favorite part.
Looks so good.
Now, speaking of things that look good, does Marinara Summer look like it's going to be short, or does it look like it's going to be a long one?
It's going to be a long Marinara Summer.
Hey, what do you got?
Both types of sports.
Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long. Nice toss.
Both types of